Hey everybody, how you doing? Hope everything's going all right. Good to be back to school. I know we're not back to school in person, but we are back to working together and learning and making things, and hopefully sooner rather than later we will be back in person and we'll get to see each other and hang out. But for now, we're still going to learn some stuff. We're still going to make some art projects. So this is going to be our first art project of the year. We are going to learn about a very, very important part of art, and it is a line. Now, most of you, I'm sure, know what a line is, so this won't be new, but it's kind of the first thing you need to know before you can really do anything else in art. If we don't have lines, we can't make shapes. If we can't make shapes, we can't draw pictures. So lines are really important. So what is a line? Well, a line is just basically a dot that goes somewhere. And you can see the path that that dot took. You can see how that dot got from where it started to where it ends. All kinds of lines can go in all kinds of different directions, and it doesn't make them anything different. This is a line, this is a line, this is a line. So it doesn't really matter what direction they're going in, they're still going to be a line. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. But for the most part, what we are going to talk about are several different kinds of lines and ways we might use them in pictures. For the first part of our lesson today, I want you to do everything on one side of your paper. We're going to do a second part on the other side, but for now, just one side. You are going to need some paper, you're going to need a pencil, and later you'll need crayons or markers or color pencils, just something that you can color with. I'm going to use a marker for most of this. That's just so you can see it better. I really want you to do the first parts with a pencil. So the first line we are going to talk about today is a straight line. The straight line starts at one spot and goes directly to another spot. It doesn't curve, it doesn't change the direction that it's going. It just goes from one place straight to the other. If this was out in the real world and you were walking around and you were walking down a sidewalk, down a street, those are usually pretty straight. So I want you to go ahead and take your pencil and I want you to try and draw a couple of straight lines. Let's do 3 of them. All right, the next kind of line we're going to learn about is a curved line. If my straight line starts one place and goes to the other place without making any changes, a curved line is kind of the opposite. It makes a change. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to go up and then back down. So instead of going directly there, my path for my dot kind of took the scenic route. Instead of being on a sidewalk, maybe you can think of this as like if you're hiking in the woods, because the trails kind of bend and move as they go through. Like we said at the beginning, it doesn't matter what direction it goes. A curved line can curve up, a curved line can curve down, it can curve to the side. So go ahead and try and draw 3 curved lines. All right, the next line that we are going to work on is a bumpy line. Now, if you made a curved line, you already know how to make a bumpy line. The only difference is with a bumpy line, I'm going to draw a small curve and then another one right next to it. And it's all connected, which is what makes it one big bumpy line instead of a bunch of little curves. So when we think of those bumps, if we were drawing a picture, this might be how we would draw the clouds. Go ahead and draw 3 bumpy lines. Doesn't matter what direction they're facing, as long as those bumps happen, it's a bumpy line. So the next one, I already kind of made. We're gonna call it a wavy line. And if you look at my last kind of upside down bumpy line, that's what a wave looks like. Instead of my lines curving up, they're gonna curve down like that. And we call that a wavy line because it looks like waves on water. It looks like waves on the ocean or a lake. So go ahead and try to draw 3 wavy lines. All right, we've just got 2 more lines that we're going to learn about. I hope you have enough space. I was drawing pretty big, so I might have to switch to another piece of paper, but remember, we want to try and get all the first part of our practice on one side. So the next one is called a zigzag line. It's made up of a bunch of little straight lines. Some will go down, some will go up. And you keep doing that over and over and over. If you were drawing a shark or a dinosaur, you might use a zigzag line to show his teeth. If you were drawing a picture of outside and you want to see some mountains that are supposed to be really, really far away, that might be when you could use those as well. So go ahead and draw 3 zigzag lines. All right, and now the last type of line that we are going to learn about is called a loop, a loop-de-loop, if you want to. In the book, they called it a swirl, I believe, but it's the same thing. So I am going to go down with a curve and then back up and then back around itself. So I'm drawing a line that loops up and back down and 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 up and back down. So that is our loop. So go ahead and draw 3 of these loop lines. With all these different lines, the loops, the zigzags, the bumps, the waves, it doesn't matter how big or small you make each part of it, it'll still be the same kind of line. Alright, so go ahead and make sure you've had a chance to practice all those. Once you have, we will go ahead and start the next part of our project. You're going to flip your paper over so all we see is the nice clean blank side that you haven't done anything on yet. Now is when you're going to want something to color with. What we're going to do is we're going to make a piece of artwork, and it's not going to be the kind of art that looks like something. When you're done, you're not going to be able to look at it and say, oh, that's a really neat duck that I drew. But it is going to be a piece of art. We'll talk about this more later in the year, but artwork doesn't really have to look like something. The one thing that artwork does need to be is on purpose. If I'm taking and drawing all over my paper for no reason, that's just scribbling. But if I'm making a bunch of different lines and shapes, even if they sort of cross over each other and pile up, that's artwork. I meant for those to be there, and they're there. Alright, so for our project, you can use mine to kind of look at, but when you're done, it probably won't look anything like mine. So I am going to start with a color. It doesn't matter what color. I've got orange. You can use whatever color you want. And I'm going to draw 3 straight lines. These can be different sizes. These can go different directions. They can cross over each other. So it doesn't matter. Just somewhere on your paper, different areas, different sizes, we want 3 straight lines. So there's 1, there's 2, 3. Now I'm going to switch to a different color. And the next line we learned about was a curved line. So I'm going to draw 3 curves on my paper. Again, it can be a tiny little curve, or it can be a big old giant curve. It's still a curve. So there's 1, 2, I need 1 more. I'm going to do kind of a medium-sized curve down there. After you're done with that, it's time for a new color. The next line we learned about was our bumpy line. So now we need 3 bumpy lines. After we're done with the bumpy lines, we're going to switch to a new color. It'll look pretty neat if you can use a different color for each different kind of line. If you don't have that many color options, that's fine too, because what we're doing is mostly we're focused on our lines. So we've done our straight lines, our curved lines, our bumpy lines. The next one we learned about was our wavy lines. So I'm going to do 3 different wavy lines. We've got just 2 more to go. So I'm going to get a different color. And I am going to do my zigzag lines. So 3 different zigzag lines. They can go from one side of your page all the way to the other. Or they can be little bitty lines, just kind of out there by themselves. The important part is that when you're done, you've got 3 different lines. Or 3 different versions of each line we practiced. Alright, so the last thing, the last kind of line we learned was our loop lines. Our swirls is what they called it in the story. So I am going to start, let's see, right here at the top in the middle, and I'm going to make a loop that goes all the way down that way. Remember, you can put them anywhere you want, but you need 3 looping lines. All right, and I'm done. Here is my awesome artwork. It shows all these cool lines that I learned. Now, like we said, this doesn't really look like anything. This doesn't look like a dog, but it's your art project. It shows everything that you learned today. The neat thing about a picture that doesn't really have to look like anything is if I don't like what it looks like this way, maybe I like it better this way. Maybe I like it better this way. It's however I'm the most happy with it. Alright, if you missed anything, my friends, feel free to go back and watch the video over. If you ever have any questions or you might have been a little confused by something, feel free to pause, stop the video, start it over, pause it, take your time, whatever you need to do. Once you have finished your picture, there is a box at the bottom of this page that says Show Mr. Holiday My Artwork. Click on that, follow the steps. It'll give you a chance to take a little picture or a video of your artwork whenever you're done with it. Take all the time you need, but I'd love to see it. Hope everybody's doing great, and I will see you next week. Bye.